So I've waved at the camera. I'm going to call this meeting to order. It's about 13 minutes after the hour. I apologize for my lateness. I was at the Blue Line Extension office yesterday, and I went straight to the Green Line Extension office this morning. So my apologies for being late on my very first meeting of the Green Line Extension Corridor Management Committee meeting. I'll stop talking about that because it's just a delay. So I call this meeting to order, and I want to welcome everyone, all of the CMC members and the alternates. Just a quick introduction, I'm Robin Hutchison. I have been the chair of the Metropolitan Council for a total of 2 days and a few hours. So I appreciate everybody's patience with me today as I work through my very first agenda. I have a few housekeeping reminders for in-person folks, including the mics are live. They'll pick up your voice. They don't turn on or off. That's a great thing to know. As a reminder, this meeting is being live streamed and recorded for members of the public. Members of the public watching virtually or the recording can submit comments for CMC consideration to David Davies at david.davies@metrotransit.org until Friday, December 12th. And they'll be posted on the project's website as part of the minutes. Meeting handouts and the presentation will be posted on the project website, greenlineext.org. And that's after this meeting. It would help me, and I think it is customary, that we go around the table for brief introductions. I've introduced myself, and I'm going to pass right.
Oh, thank you, Chair. I'm Robert Lilliger, Metropolitan Council member for District 6. That's pretty much all of South Minneapolis. And just since this is our first meeting together, I want to welcome you. I look forward to supporting your work at the council.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Eli Farhat. I'm from Hennepin County Commissioner Marion Green's office, which is District 3, which includes St. Louis Park, Southwest Minneapolis, downtown Minneapolis, and parts of the south side as well.
Hi, I'm Tim Browson. I'm with the St. Louis Park City Council. I'm here in place of Mayor Nadia Mohammed, who welcomes you to the city.
Greetings, I'm Brad Wiersum, soon-to-be former mayor of the city of Minnetonka.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yes.
Heather Edelson, I'm the county commissioner, so I have Edina, Hopkins, Minnetonka, all like Minnetonka area. So.
Morning. My name is John Tao. I'm with the Metropolitan Council's Office of Equity and Equal Opportunity and working out of the Green Line Extension Project Office.
Good morning. I'm Jim Alexander, the project director for the Green Line Extension.
Good morning. I'm David Davies. I'm the public involvement manager for the Green Line Extension project.
I'm Jim Hovland, Mayor of Edina, and I'm also your tab chair.
Yes.
So I serve at your pleasure.
Thank you for your service.
Along with Connie.
Yeah, I'm on that too, yeah. Connie Sarabjamin, district engineer. I represent the Department of Transportation.
I'm Dr. Tyrone Carter. I'm Metropolitan Council member, District 3, Western Metro. Glad to be here and glad to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
Good morning. I'm Leslie Kinderis, general manager at Metro Transit.
I'm Emily Getty. I am executive assistant at the Green Line Extension Project Office.
Thank you, everyone. We'll move on to our next agenda item, which is approval of the September 10th, 2025 CMC meeting minutes. Minutes were sent out with the agenda for today's meeting for review. They're in your packet. If there's any edits, please let us know now for staff to capture. If there are no edits, can I get a motion to approve?
I'll move. Second. No, I'll let you move.
And voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Minutes approved, and they'll be posted on the project website. I want to appreciate the warm welcome today, despite my 10-minute rocky start there. And I'm thrilled to be sitting at this table and to meet all of you. And I'm disappointed I won't have an opportunity to work with Mayor Wiersum just a little bit longer than today. So I'm going to start this meeting with a recognition of your service, Mayor, to the council. And you and I are meeting for the first time now, and I'm not afraid to admit that. And I'd like to just ask Jim Alexander, who has worked with you for a long time, to say a few words about your service and your departure.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chair. Well, Mr. Mayor, I want to give you a couple of mementos of your service and your just your support on this project. Just display for everybody to see. It's just some graphics for the, we call them the wickets at the stations. And so give that to you.
Thank you so much.
And from a personal item, you have a piece of rail from the Southwest LRT of the Green Line extension. So.
Hey, all right.
Could we take a nice picture of the handoff of the gifts?
right,
I think it would be nice to have.
Here we are. You do that together.
All right.
Hold on, I might in the way. You got it?
You're fine.
Thank you, Sam.
1, 2, 3. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Mayor. You've been a great supporter on this project. I really appreciate all the efforts you've done. I was trying to think when you actually started CMC. It's been a lot of years.
Well, it's been 8 years on the CMC.
Yeah. It's been a long time, and really appreciate you've always been there to support, and it's been great. So
Well, thank you so much. Just a few quick remarks. I'll sit down for those. One, I am a very strong supporter of this project, and as a kid who grew up in Green Bay, I said, my strategic view is that there's two kinds of cities in the world. There are in the United States. There are cities that have NFL teams, and there are cities that wish they had them. And there are cities that have transit systems, and there are cities that wish they have them. And while the analogy is a little strange, I think it's very apt that without a strong transit system, we will not be a world-class region. And I've long believed that. And so that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. And my support for this project will not stop when I stop being mayor. I think it's great. I'm looking forward to riding on the train in 2027. And then I'll add, thank you so much for this. When I was here when Chair Zelli received one of these, and I thought, now that is really cool. I would love to have one of those, and I wasn't sure I qualified. So I'm very appreciative, and it's been an honor. But congratulations to all of us, because we are doing work that is going to make a difference in our region for the next 100 years, and I'm proud of that. So thank you.
Special thanks for those words. It's my first week, and that kind of pep talk for the work ahead is very appreciated by me, and I hope our paths do cross again.
Well, thank you. And I do want to say, I will admit to saying that I want to appreciate in particular, this whole team, but Jim Alexander as project director of this project had I said many times he had the worst job in the state. It's been a brutal job through a lot, and he has persevered. And I don't know if we name things after people, but Jim's just done such a phenomenal job. And this task, I've aged a little bit too, but not due to the stress of the job. Whereas I think Jim's aged a little bit because of the stress of the job, and I think he's just done a wonderful job, and it's been an honor to work with him. So thank you all.
I'm sure he appreciates it.
You haven't aged that much. Just like a little.
All right. Thank
Not
you
too much, but
Internally.
I'm glad we paused to recognize you, and thank you so much for your service.
thank you.
Next, we are going to hear from Jim. It's a project update, and Jim's going to provide an update on construction activities. Welcome, Jim. I think we have some slides for this one. Yes?
Yep.
Okay, great.
All
Over to
right.
you.
Okay.
Somebody
so-
said it back here, Jim, but the wallpaper still looks pretty good. We don't know what's going on behind the wallpaper, but the exterior still looks good.
Well, thank you, Brad. Appreciate that. All right, project update. So we've been showing this slide. We're still at 84% of the counties represented on the project, and that's really a good thing. John will talk about DVE involvement here later on as we get into the PowerPoint here. So overall, we're doing really well. We're 90% complete on the project, and civil construction we're on the cusp of having substantial completion. That's a huge mile marker, talk about kind of losing sleep and a lot of stress. Getting through that has been a lot of work. Nick Dial back in the arena there is Director of Construction, Deputy Project Director, has been instrumental in getting that, getting to this stage. So we're 95% done. We're essentially really complete. Punch list items, you know, some cleanup, but systems is really where it's at. And I've got some slides to talk about systems a little bit. And we also have the Hoppings Rail Support Facility. I didn't include any slides on that, but we'll try to do that next time. That's coming along pretty well at 60% construction. And, you know, I'm all about the trails. So we have some good news. We have most of the trails open now. There is a short section of the Kenilworth that will be closed through probably the mid of December here. We still need that for access to get to some tight areas for Tunnel Systems House we're building at the kind of the junction of the Greenway and Kenilworth Trail there. But we're moving along. I actually did a test ride yesterday just to make sure things were looking good, and things are looking good. There are some vehicles parked along the trail out of the pathway a little bit, so because workers still need to get into the tunnel and get into other areas of doing work. But so far so good. Just want to extend an appreciation to the community. I know this has been a long process. It's been a long process for me, a lot of detours. As you know, I bike to work most days. I did this morning, and it's been a tackle to get through these trails. We couldn't have done this work without closing trails. There's no way we could have done that, and I really appreciate the communities stepping up. And then we're hopefully done with the major closures. Going to have Michael Kranz with TOD talking likely next meeting in March to give an update. They're on the verge of submitting their annual report. But I just wanted to broadcast all the good work that's been done at Beltline Station. You can see the numbers there. This is a tremendous development that we've been working with the city since probably 2016, I think, to get this thing going. Up in the upper corner, you see the numbers of where we're at. This is permitted through 2024, about 3.3 billion. So it's very strong along the whole corridor. And I would say that most of this is either built or constructed at that 3.3. So construction update, just have some photos, mostly in Minneapolis. That's where things have been finishing up for the civil construction. We've had some roadway work around Westlake, and finished up some plaza area at the station there. So that's all looking really good. And road work, we had Excelsior closed, one of the lanes closed for quite some time, and that's been a big tackle as well. But we're about cleaned up there, so that's a good thing. Moving on into the Kenilworth area, this is part of the community-led process we had several years ago, where we're looking at the aesthetics of the Kenilworth corridor as mitigation to accept the freight rail through the Kenilworth corridor. And this is going to be a viewing area at the portal. We'll have similar at the east portal of the tunnel itself. And this is going to be probably the one and only roundabout in the world for trails. This is kind of the confluence of the Greenway that goes east-west and the Kenilworth Trail as you head to the north into Minneapolis, part of Minneapolis downtown. And of course, this was taken a few days ago, so we're kind of sans snow here. But the Cedar Lake Parkway is open, and I hope I don't have to ever tell people we're going to close it again. So I think right now we're sitting pretty well in that juncture. Up at Bassett Creek Valley Station, things are getting cleaned up there. We had some roadway work that kind of got late in the season and some trail work. And then up at Royalston area, we're back to two-way traffic up there. We still have the signals to finish up, so we have stop signs at that three-way stop sign there. So, but that's working out really well. So I wanted to focus on systems a little bit because we get questions about, why is it going to take you so long to get to the end point of 2027 in revenue service? And again, we're not announcing that date in 2027. As we get through more testing, we'll have a better feel for where we can identify that date. But I wanted to talk a little bit about just the complexities of what's going on with the systems. We talked about this in the past, but so some of this might be an overview. But here's those top 5 are the main components to the systems construction. And the challenge is it kind of looks like it's done, but it's not done. And we had the same thing on Central Corridor, the Green Line, where people thought we were done and ready to go. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done. It's really these 5 upper pieces, and then the system integration testing, which is underway. It's another piece that is involved. Now, I wanted to show a photo. This is part of a commitment that we made to have a hot bearing dragging equipment detection system. This is up at Bryn Mawr Station, and this is for freight rail. And we'll have a similar setup at the other end of the council-owned rail out in Minnetonka. So for traction power system, essentially 20 of the traction power. You can see the upper photo there is what it looks like, and we have 19 installed, 1 left to go next to the Kenilworth Tunnel, and essentially takes the energy from, or the power from Excel, and converts that from alternating current to direct current, so we can run our vehicles at 750 volts, and just the inner workings of getting these sites together down below there. The other piece is the overhead contact system. So once we get that power to the traction power, it goes through a lot of conduit and transmits up to these lines we have. So the bottom line, you can kind of see in the picture, is a contact wire. That's what the pantograph from the vehicle, light rail vehicle, connects to bring power into the vehicle. And the upper cable is a tension cable to keep things in sync, so we're not having a lot of waviness, if you will, of the contact wire. We need to have direct contact as we are running the trains through. So tunnel systems, it's a little busy. At the lower left there are fans that we will be installing in the Kenilworth Tunnel. We have a total of 8 of those. They're about 40 feet long, and that's for if there's a fire or smoke that we engage those fans to evacuate the area. And then upper right is kind of a finished look of the 62 tunnel with all the lights and the catenary, the contact system up in place. And then the lower right is what's called a standpipe. So if there is a fire, we'll have access to water to suppress the fire. So that piping is for that purpose. For communication systems, this gets really busy. There's a lot of components to this project. I'm going to talk about that a little bit when we get into the system integration testing, but just a lot of stuff. It's really busy. I'm not going to really describe what's inside these cabinets, but there's a lot of inner workings there. And then the wayside signaling system. So this is the signal system for the light rail. It's also it handles the intrusion detection. I think I've talked about this before, where we have intrusion detection between freight rail and light rail anytime we're within 50 feet of each other, center line to center line, and this hot bearing dragging equipment I mentioned earlier. A lot of smaller houses associated with this along the alignment. And then what's left. So this is kind of a really high-level overview of what's left in primarily Minneapolis to be built. We're still finishing up the contact system, especially from kind of the Beltline Station area up to 21st Street area. And we have 1 more traction power, as I mentioned, right next to the tunnel. And we have 2 tunnel system houses that are being built right now next to the Kenilworth Tunnel. And that's the one out for 62. The tunnel is finished. And then we have train signaling to do in that same reach, and then installation of communication infrastructure and getting this hot bearing equipment put in place. But we're kind of wrapping up. Systems should be pretty much built probably midway in 26 as we continue with the system integration testing. So I kind of wanted to have a couple of slides to talk about the testing process, and this really starts with setting up the design. We have Aldrich Parsons, who was, I think I mentioned before, Aldrich was on our Central Corridor project, and so they have a lot of familiarity. There's actually some workers that were on both contracts, so it's really helpful. We have some folks that were involved on both. It's really good to have that continuity to understand the lessons learned and to set us up for success on this project. So as we get to that step one, that's the design of what the testing is going to be all about. And there's factory acceptance testing for those traction power substations, for example. They get tested out before they get shipped here. And then we get into the subsystem development where we have independently devices verified or going through acceptance testing. And then we do an integration testing. So that's where everything all comes together. And we have to make sure everything's in sync with each other. And then finally, once our contractor is done and we're satisfied with that testing, then we'll hand it over to our Metro Transit operations folks, and they will do their own series of testing. Maybe kind of hard to see on the text here. We do have this on our website, but this kind of at a high level describes that system integration testing where we're underway. We started this in July, and we'll carry this through into 26. And the pre-revenue service, again, that's Metro Transit operations, will start taking on parts of the project. I'll talk about that in a moment in 26 and then into 27. And then ultimately we get to revenue service for the entire system. So just system integration testing, just all this stuff. I'm not going to necessarily describe all this thing. This is more kind of a reference. So just really kind of wanted to demonstrate the complication of doing. You can't just snap our fingers and have this thing ready to go. There's a lot of components involved. And I want to point down to the wayside signaling system. So we have 7 interlockings on this project. What that means is there's an availability for light rail to run on one track and then switch over to another track, and vice versa on the secondary track. And when you look at all the different ways we have to go and test, because we have to make sure the signals are working, the switches are working, there's over 1,500 of those runs that we have to do on the system. So that takes some time. And I kind of, I'll talk about the point-to-point testing. I think I mentioned that last time we met. That's where we're checking all the devices out there, and a lot of devices. We have over 7,000 initial point-to-point testing, and there's probably about 2,000 to 3,000 secondary point-to-point tests. So a lot of testing is involved as we get through the system integration testing on this project. So I think we showed this before, where we are in the red zone right now. That's out in the west, and if we didn't have the tunnel, we didn't have other issues that were on the east end of the project, we would have started testing from our mainline target field going out westward. But given the issues we had to figure out how can we mitigate the schedule, and so we came up with this scheme. We kind of reprogrammed our schedule with the systems contractor that I've talked about in the past, and essentially starting out west. And it does provide some challenges for us because we have to figure out how to get vehicles out there to do the testing, which we've done now, and I'll talk about that. But so we're doing this red area here. This will carry us into mid-26, and then we'll transfer to the yellow area where we'll kind of pick up the system integration testing up in that zone. And then ultimately, later in 26, we'll do the entire alignment, really focusing on the Kenilworth Tunnel. And I would say that a lot of this project is fairly straightforward. It's actually a little bit simpler than what we had on Central Corridor, because I think Central Corridor had like 80 plus crossings with all the roadways going down the middle of University. Here we have 15 at-grade crossings, so it's much more simplified in that regard. But we also have the tunnel. The tunnel is a new piece with the fans and the pumps, and so that's a kind of a new endeavor that we'll have to tackle as we get to that point. So just some photos of the system integration testing. This is kind of just a test lab that we have next door to our rail control center over in Minneapolis at our Franklin facility. And we have these folks checking each device and making sure that there's good communication between all the devices and the rail control center, because that needs to be monitored as we're doing in operations. It's very important to have that piece in place. And just another image of this is point-to-point testing. May not mean a lot here, but this is inside the traction power substation. A lot of gizmos in there, but very complex. And I'll talk a little bit more about traction power here in a little bit. So back in October, we were a little apprehensive about how this is all going to work, but we were able to pull 6 light rail vehicles out to the western part of the project. I think I showed last time the rail car mover, the shuttle wagon. You can kind of see in the upper left the little red guy that's pulling these vehicles. We have also wrapped 2 vehicles so we can advertise that we're in testing. We're primarily using those vehicles when we're out doing our tests and also announcing revenue service in 27. And so that actually went pretty smoothly. We actually had to bring out 2 more vehicles for a test I'll talk about here in a moment. Those have gone back to their home in Franklin facility, but it's worked out really well.
Did you have to use Green Bay Packer colors for that? Or what? Why'd you do that?
It was more for
colors, Mayor. Edina colors.
this is a Dyna color. So it was more for just making people aware that okay, this is different.
Yeah.
Trains are coming, and David will talk about
You noticed the color combination.
safety discussion. Yeah,
Could have
we're
advertised that
thinking of
Edina
you.
won state football.
So this is an interesting process. I went out here to view some of this testing. It's called live wire testing. This is done after we do the dead wire testing. So the dead wire testing is where we essentially drag a train without power to make sure that the contact wire is in good contact with that pantograph that lifts off from the light rail vehicle. And that's kind of a slow process, but you got to make sure everything's looking good. And it has these kind of foam fingers that are used to make sure that we have proper clearance as we're going past all the stations and the signals and all that good stuff. So after that's done, we do a live wire testing. This is done at night because we need to detect any arcing that happens from the pantograph to that contact wire. It's important that we control that because the more arcing you do, the more wear is going to happen on your wire, and so we want to reduce that. And this gets tested very thoroughly, and then operations, when they're doing their pre-rev, they'll be testing it, but also when we're in revenue service, this will be tested periodically to make sure we have that good contact, because we want to keep that wire in good shape. So this was an interesting test here. We're out in Hopkins, and so we added a vehicle. So we have two 4-car consists, so 4 vehicles for each of those consists. And we're essentially stress testing the traction power system. So we have one train going outbound, one train going inbound at kind of full acceleration to make sure that everything is going to be handled well with the traction power. I was in one of the traction power substations while this was going on, and it was a little leery because you have the it's really stressing the system, but it worked fine, and so that test passed. And so other agencies to get the reason why we had 4-car consists is because we need to have enough weight, if you will. Normally, we want to have a fully loaded vehicle with passengers. Stacked when we have passengers in all 3 vehicles. That's kind of the fully loaded mode. Other agencies have brought in sandbags or brought in water vessels to add that weight. We worked out with operations we could add a vehicle, so we didn't have to go through all that labor to exercise that. On the Central Corridor, we used a bunch of plates to put on the vehicles, and just a lot of labor to get that done. All right, well, kind of zoomed through that really quickly, but maybe, yes.
Madam Chair, engineer in me can't help himself ask an engineering question. When you do the testing, is it done in different weather conditions where there's expansion, contraction with the rails and the guide wires and things like that, or how many times do you run these trains through the system, and is it, through a snowstorm or I don't know, all these different conditions that the train may see throughout its life?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Well, we'll have the opportunity to do that. We'll be, with our system integration testing, we're going to be capturing that phase 1 through the whole mode, and then revenues, when we get to pre-revenue, operations will also be testing. So we'll be capturing all those different weather seasons, if you will.
Are there other questions for Jim? Yes.
So when you were testing, Jim, for the wires, what happens, has there ever been one that has fallen, and what are like the safety mechanisms or where it's damaged? What happens in that instance?
Well, if it's damaged, then we would have crews come out. In this case, our contractor would come out and shut down the power and fix the wire. That tension wire is really critical to keep that contact wire in good shape. So they'll get tested every once in a while. They'll check to make sure we have weights on occasion that keep that cable in tension. So it's something that's monitored on a regular basis. So if there is an issue, power would get shut down to fix that wire.
Does that happen with the other light rails that we have currently operating?
It's pretty rare.
It is, okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, with the ongoing maintenance, it's kind of keeping on top of things. It's really not a big issue.
There are other questions? I would like to make a comment. Some of you know and some of you don't that I was the Public Works Director for the City of Minneapolis from 2016 to 2021. Went to Washington, came back, thrilled to be in this job. I just want to thank you. There's been staggering progress in Minneapolis. The pictures you showed are I don't want to say surprising because we always knew it could be done, but it is noteworthy, and I want to say thanks. I'm also I'm very transparent. I'm a Minneapolis resident, and I've been literally watching this get built on my everyday trips. I live in basically the same place I did before, and it's incredible to see the progress. And you should be so proud of what you've done in the last couple of years. Okay, with that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean it. We'll go on to our next item, and that is a public involvement update from David Davies. I think we've got some slides for this as well. Turn it to you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, committee members. Again, David Davies with the project office. I'll run through a couple slides. First, wanted to highlight our successful media event that we had. Thank you to everybody that could make it and who spoke and supported us at this event. It was held back in October after the initial move of the light rail trains, and this generated a lot of positive coverage for the project throughout the month. It also drove a lot of traffic to the website and just got people reacquainted with, as a larger community, with where we are. Right? A lot of people were on, I think, different pages coming into this to say, oh, I see some construction going on in certain places and things look done in other places. But this really elevated our profile on a larger scale and gave a lot of people an understanding of where we are now and where we're headed to 2027. So thank you all for that. We are also continuing our public safety awareness around the testing. A lot of this is focused in Minnetonka, Eden Prairie, and Hopkins because that is where the bulk of the work, the testing work, is going on right now. Obviously, St. Louis Park is seeing some testing. But we've got our ground game going where we're going door to door. We've got signage out at pedestrian crossings. We've got the variable message signs out at a couple of the big crossings where we see a lot of car traffic, like at Technology Drive in Eden Prairie. We had direct mailing out to residents within a couple square miles of the corridor, all trying to generate awareness about safety around trains. Remember, these are folks that really aren't used to seeing things operating on a regular basis on these tracks, and so we're getting people used to that. And luckily, trains are going slow. We've got a lot of personnel accompanying the testing process, including our police department was very active, especially as the trains were getting going before they were powered up at crossings. So a lot of assistance there, but we've got a lot of resources out. I want to thank our team, Katie, Diane, and James, for getting the awareness out there. We're continuing to do that throughout the winter. You've got a buck slip at your table with your packets. Please let us know if there are any kind of specialized ways in which we can come out and be talking to community about not only safety, but just about the progress of the project and where we're headed in 27. We want to continue to talk this up, and we'll use that winter timeframe to do so before we get into kind of our summer event season. Just wanted to give a very brief look ahead to 2026. This is going to be a very busy year for the project, for the outreach team, for Metro Transit as a whole regarding Green Line extension. We've got a few distinct but intertwining paths that lead to our opening, our service opening in 2027. We'll be very focused on planning for the launch itself, and that includes pre-opening and opening and post-opening strategy. And we'll come back to the committee with some really substantial updates for that early in 26 to talk through that with you. We continue our milestone celebrations and celebrating project progress. Jim talked about the trails, so I really look forward to when we thaw out in 26, getting people, getting out on the trails and doing something fun on the trails, reacquainting people with the status. There are those who have been talking to us. I call them high confidence riders. The folks who have been out there no matter what all season, waiting for these trails to open. And then we've got folks who will reacquaint once the weather gets better. And we really want to meet them where they're at, right? Bike to Work Month sounds like a great opportunity for that in May. So we'll be out there, ready to meet community with something fun there. And then our continued community engagement and education. That's transitioning away from construction and how we're impacting folks and generating interest on revenue operations and how to ride, right? That includes the safety awareness, but also includes like getting ready for, how you are going to use this system. So that'll be a main component, something we really drum up and increase our visibility on for 2026. That's my very brief update for public involvement. There's a lot there, and I expect us to have a lot more details in 26 when we meet in March, but we're really excited. So please continue to send community our way for those opportunities. We'll meet them anywhere, anytime. So take any questions.
Thanks, David. Any questions?
I do. So thank you, David, for that. I continue to have concerns about youth and using this. So when we're having, you're looking there and there's the picture on the top and there's all these people with bicycles and I'm sure they're all big transit advocates, right? Maybe they're very excited. Who are not used to light rails are youth in these suburban communities. And so those are teenagers, those are younger kids. And so I just really want to make sure that we're engaging with families on what that's going to look like for them. Because the trains move fast.
Absolutely.
And very dangerous if people don't understand and youth don't understand the dangers of them. So can you tell me more? I think last time I had brought up about schools, just where that public engagement is going to engage with families is really important.
Commissioner, we will absolutely be connecting directly with schools. We already have started to do that. There's, even daycares nearby at the OPA station, for instance, where we are connecting directly with providers. Distributing those resources. And I believe we can be more intentional about having a presence at events, at those school events. I know, for instance, I send my kids in Minneapolis, but at the open houses and town halls that they have, the periodic school events, that there are tabling opportunities there. I would love for our team to be out there, not just handing out things, but speaking to people about how important it is to be safe around trains. I think that'll dovetail really nicely also with the how to rides. So we're going to start telling people about how to actually interact with the service itself. I think that's a double-pronged message of how to stay safe today, but also how to use light rail when it comes in 2027.
That's great. And then do we have a model of the train system so that if you're going into a school, you can say, this is actually how you use it? Do we have like a little... Even if it,
I will look into that.
I think we should do that because I think ultimately, there's the kids in the flyers are going to be like, what is this?
We have like the paper trains and
well,
we certainly,
I've seen those and those are not that great, right? They're going to not for kids. They're not going to be kid proof. So I would think that we should invest in something like that if we're going to go to schools to show them like how to do it and then maybe make sure the open house is really friendly for youth and encourage families. So thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have to leave the chair of meeting in Egan of 19 cities and at 11:30, so I have to take off. And Mayor Risson will be shortly behind me because we got to celebrate him over there too. So I'm gonna depart here momentarily.
Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah.
Appreciate you staying as long as you can. There are no action items for you, and all the information will be available.
John, sorry to miss your update.
I'll stay for it though, John. See you shortly.
Yeah, thanks.
They'll wait to celebrate him.
Any other?
Madam Chair, I just had one. I appreciate the update, very interesting. The one intersection I'm most concerned about, and I don't know the whole line as well as all of you do, but, I go to Costco in Eden Prairie with some frequency, and that technology drive, that intersection is the one that I've thought about many, many times, makes me the most nervous. And so, I just want to encourage everything we can do to, educate and be diligent. And I mean, when the trains start running, maybe we actually need a police car sitting there for a while and make that investment, because that, to me, is the tightest, most challenging intersection that gets heavily used. And I just want to be very mindful of that, because, safety is so critical. And to me, that's a challenging intersection. And I just want to call attention to it, and not that you haven't thought about that already.
Appreciate that, Mayor. I think the tech drive is absolutely one of our highest priority intersections. I believe that we have signage out there, at least
There is
in
signage,
one
yeah.
of the, but we can do more about
Right.
having a physical presence and a personal presence out there when the trains are really running.
Great, thank you.
Councilmember.
And just aside, because when I was in junior high school, we had a train crossing that you weren't supposed to cross, but we had a number of tragedies around that. So I was wondering, I know you have an active camera system, I'm assuming, around that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do think that's a big piece, because, every kid thinks they're indestructible.
So,
And, so I would love to learn more too about our outreach and safety around trains and the danger involved in trains.
Will do. Thank you.
Much as I love
The
everything
feedback
about
around
this.
youth is well taken.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions or comments? I'll just close this item by saying I appreciate the focus on safety, and especially on youth safety, and I am also looking forward to hearing more about it. The last item is an update on the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, DBE program from John Tao, and I believe you have some slides as well. I'll turn it to you.
Yes, thank you. All right, so I'll keep this brief. Yeah, so, achievement, as you all have been following and know, has been great. We are exceeding the goals on our contracts. The HRSF is still, 60%, so there's still more DBE participation that is scheduled during this winter time once they put all the walls up. The one piece of news that I do have to share is the US DOT issued a interim final rule on October 3rd, and that rule asked us to pause the DBE program. We needed to reevaluate all of the DBE firms in our whole directory, and then during that period of reevaluation, we won't be able to count DBE credit towards our goals too. So in addition to that, we won't be able to award new DBE goals on new contracts too. So this is a pause period while we are going through the reevaluation of all the DBEs. So we are partnered up with City of Minneapolis, Metropolitan Airports Commission, MnDOT, and our own agency. All of our staff, DBE staff, are focused on reevaluating all of the DBE firms so that we can quickly get things running again. But this is a little bit of a pause period for us, and we are following the guidelines and then working with our small businesses to answer questions, providing information sessions for them to help them understand this process so that they can best respond to it. So that is the big news that we have, and we are continuing to monitor all of these contracts as normal as well. The only thing is that we won't be able to award DBE credit for dollars paid out to DBEs during this period until we're done.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some questions on this one. I know I have some, but I'll probably hold until maybe we can talk later. Connie?
Yes. So I know you're not counting the numbers from here on for the DBE, but I hope you're ensuring that those small companies still do the work, because a general contractor can take and do the work himself and not say, well, we don't need that anymore. And that's something that we're cognizant of at MnDOT, that we're making sure that those companies, not to penalize them because they planned on doing that work. And again, you can't stop a contractor from doing it himself, but I was curious if that was something that you thought about.
Chair. Yes, we were very cognizant of that, and nothing has really changed. All of the contracts are still there. We're still monitoring things as normal. Meeting with contractors, meeting with the small businesses, and that monitoring piece is still the same. And then the only thing is that more of, I would say, an administrative type of thing where we're just not able to count any dollars during this period. So, but everything, all the contractual requirements are still there.
Chair. Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thanks, John, for this. And if I missed this, I apologize. But with this assessment evaluation period, do you have an idea of how long that's going to take? Because I know if we're withholding payment to our DBE contractors, that can often be a hardship for them. So do we have any idea? Are we communicating to them how long this may take?
Yeah, Chair. I would say that there's no payments being withheld for this process. This is just a administrative thing where can we count this dollars that's been paid out to DBEs as towards the goal or not?
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, misunderstood. Thank you.
Yep.
That's helpful. Thanks, Chair.
That is helpful. I wanted clarification on that,
thanks,
so thank you. Yeah. So they're still being paid.
They're still being paid. Yes.
Okay. And now count towards what? Tell me how that works.
So if you look at the formula up there, I mean, what we see is like the DBEs, what they've been billed to date, and then what the contractor's been billed to date. So that's where we get the percentage of dollars paid to DBEs to kind of measure, are we meeting the goal or not? So that's something that we report out to the FTA. And there are dollars that are paid to DBE that sometimes we are not able to count towards the goal. So those dollars are still being paid to DBEs, but it's administrative things that I said is that can we count it or not? The DBEs are still getting the dollars, but can we count it towards our overall achievement for the goals and the contract?
Yeah, so thank you, John. So do you have any concerns about DBE like in future projects like Blue Line? Do we have any concerns about this administration potentially getting rid of this, or just give me a little bit, a little bit more? And when they're pausing it, we're dealing with a lot at the county, so I just want to know how big this is.
Chair, yeah. I think for us right now, we're focused on just getting DBEs evaluated and going through the process. I don't know what the future holds, but for us, we want to support our small businesses here, and going through this process and following the DBE program, because the DBE program is still here. A lot of the requirements are still there. So for us, we're really just focused on getting through this phase so that we can then start setting goals on contracts once again, and then getting back into the normal routine of the DBE program and being able to have those goals on the contracts and get the participation from the small businesses.
Okay.
Any other questions? Just last comment for me is I'm looking forward to a more full briefing on the relationship between this interim final rule and our own work. It's a very shifty landscape coming out of Washington right now. I've reviewed numerous interim final rules, some of which have been legally challenged in other parts of the country. I need to get my hands onto this one and give it a really good read and be briefed by the staff. And obviously, it's something that I'm sure around this table and in this region we're committed to, and we just need to understand the relationship between the current work, future work, and what's in this interim final rule. Other interim final rules have been legally challenged because there is a rulemaking process that is not being followed. right now. So I'd like to see if this falls into that category and ask questions about what Met Council, third day on the job, what Met Council and partners at MnDOT and statewide are, how they're handling it. I appreciate all these comments and I appreciate your work on it. It's tricky.
Thank you for looking into it, because it
Sure,
sounds
absolutely.
concerning,
It
quite
is.
frankly, yeah. Okay.
Thanks for your update. Appreciate it. And at this point, we are through the agenda, and appreciate the participation. Great questions. I learned a lot. Very good. Please stay connected via construction updates, social media, and through the project website. Have a great holiday season for all the holidays that are celebrated this season, and a happy new year. The next meeting will be on March 4th, 2026, and this meeting is now adjourned.